Well, it is probably about as muggy out to where a fish would be just as comfortable out of the water as it would be in the water. It is a sticky August late summer day. And I'm gonna go see if I can find wads of schooled up summer bass in thick weeds. So that means we're gonna be doing some punching. A lot of fun, right? I did a video on this lake earlier this year, and that video was all about finding weeds before they're actually visible. So feeling your way around until you encounter them, and then how to effectively fish them once you find them without having a GPS marker, without visually seeing them with your eyes. So at this point in the summer, we're gonna have standing vegetation, and this lake, it's gonna be broadleaf cabbage. Broadleaf cabbage basically just creates like a dense canopy effect where there's lots of bait fish, and that's where bass seek cover and ambush spots to attack their forage, which is going to be just about anything from crayfish to bluegills. And that brings us to what bait I think I'm going to use today. It's more than likely going to be bluegills in this lake, but I am going to use a crawfish style plastic. This is a Crush City cleanup craw, and the reason I say it has bluegill mimicking properties is that, you know, this tail is fairly wide, so rather than two craws going off like this, the tail in itself can just be like one big paddle, like a fish tail. So you're essentially, you know, producing the same type of vibration that maybe a bluegill would, same profile bluegill would. So that's what I am going with today. And this, you could use this for punching, you know, thick, matted vegetation, but we're not going to encounter that today so much. So I'm going to go a little bit on the lighter side. I think I got like just a 1/2 ounce tungsten flippin weight and a 4/0 VMC ringed EWG hook. And this is straight from Seth Fighter's mouth. That ringed EWG just has a much better hookup ratio. And I've seen it firsthand from Seth, and so if you're not flipping in just like super thick, like I said, matted vegetation, cheese mats and stuff, this is great for just flipping in these cabbage, you know, emergent cabbage stands. So again, here's that cleanup craw, and like I said, if you don't separate the claws, that's just one big paddle, you know, and you can put that on sideways on a swim jig, and it's a nice little thing. You can put it on that way, great jig trailer. But we're going to put it on this 4/0 EWG. Got a pegged weight on there. Keep that package all together. So Texas rigging this thing on there. And I'm going to bury the hook a little bit. There's an area. I'm going to bury the hook a little bit. And as you can see, there's kind of a little area where you can put the hook in, and it's exposed but not entirely exposed thanks to those little ribs there. So that's all we're gonna do. I'm gonna drive around right now, probably throw on some polarized sunglasses, although it's getting to be evening now, and look for those mats of weeds and slow roll with the trolling motor, just plunking in front of the kayak until I run into a school of fish, or at least one fish, because a lot of times, like I said, in summer, they will really school up in just one little patch of weeds. So once you catch one, you got to sit there and milk it for a while. So we're going to do that by flipping. Once I've exhausted them a little bit, I might throw something a little bit more finessey in there, like a Neko rig. So I'm getting ready to get that just hard hook set with braid, you know, heavier rod, straight up and down battle with these bass in the kayak. Oop. Good start. Notice I immediately hit spot lock. Bumping into some weeds, ran into a fish. Let's see if there's another one. Another one right there. See that? Woo! Back-to-back casts. And again, I gotta show you ringed wide gap. That is the meat. That is the meat. That's not going anywhere when you're reefing on fish out of weeds or cover. That's exactly where you want them hooked. Oh, not large, but sometimes you gotta weed through those little guys and get to the big ones. Even when I don't see topped off weeds, notice I'm still fishing. I got the trolling motor on half right now, which is as low as it can go. Really slowly just going on and just hopping this thing on bottom. And like I said, well, I can't actually see weeds. I'm hearing the weeds on my braid and I'm feeling it on my rod. So definitely worth slow rolling through here and just bopping along till you run into fish or you actually see those thicker patches of weeds. But yeah, just slow going, feeling, being really aware as you go. And that means you're going to cover water effectively. A little bit slower of a presentation. So I thought I kind of had a bead on where the weed line was, and I was feeling some weeds, but I thought I'd better check out just a little bit to the right of me, which is slightly deeper water. And I wasn't feeling nothing, and then kind of started running into some stems, and whoop, something picked me up, dropped me immediately, and I was like, all right, we're gonna slow down here a little bit. And that one picked it up, and we got him. I don't know if that was the same fish that bit me or not, but always throw back when you get bit, always. Ew. Come here, Sonny. A little bit better one. Stout summer largemouth. All right. Well, I haven't really found those really thick weeds that I've been looking for, but I'm scratching a few along the way, and that's just as good until I find the mother lode. Put all those pieces together, cover some water so you know what to focus on and what not to focus on. You know, flipping and pitching is fairly hard to do sitting down. It's definitely best when you can stand up and keep that rod tip high, and you can stay a little bit off the water's surface. And with that, there's really no better kayak than this Old Town AtoPilot 120. Nice and wide. You know, this one's only 12 feet long, so it's just kind of short and stubby a little bit. Obviously plenty fast when I need to get going, but it's just a stable platform. Spot lock, set the hook, stand there and just reef on fish, and I'm perfectly safe and stable. So that is definitely a key thing about when you're doing this out of a kayak, is you want a really stable platform. And it doesn't hurt to have spot lock, that's for sure. Well, the sun's already starting to creep down. I don't have a ton of time to fish. As it gets to be evening, as you can see, the wind's kind of laying down a little bit. I'm looking ahead of me. There's a tail patch of weeds up there, emergent, breaking out of the surface, so I'm not going to waste my time feeling around anymore. I'm heading straight to that weed patch and I'm going to start plunking. See, when we get up to this weed patch, we want to make sure we do so. Whoa, jump right in the boat, why don't you? Want to make sure that we do so quietly from a distance. You don't want to blow those fish out. So pick your way. Oh man, look at that. Go for the mouth. Pick your way up there. This is the best patch of weeds. There's another really good one up there. I hope the sun sticks around long enough for me to comb it all, because I finally found what I was looking for. And that was the first cast into that patch, so. You can hear the motor is spot locked right now. It's flat calm, so she's gonna be flailing around a little bit, but it's a good sign. Let's see if that sun holds out long enough for us to really comb this patch. Whew, come here. One more in you? Yep. All right, chunky one. Come on. Oh, stop this thing. Found what I was looking for. Just a beautiful, deep, emergent patch of weeds here. Nice chunk. Oof. Again, I'm just waiting for that school to get fired up in one of these spots where I can just spot lock and milk them for all they're worth. Cast right back to where that one came from. Forgot to shut the motor off. Oh, right there on the fall. This is what I'm talking about. Oh, that's a decent one. Yeah, not quite as nice as I thought. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. Come here. Right in the nasty part of the nose. Whoop. I'm gonna spot lock and I guess keep a low profile and just sit here. See, because that hit on the fall. That's exactly what you want when they get fired up. It's like it doesn't even hit bottom. So let's just see here. There's another one. Another one. Little tiny crappie. Crappie on the flippin' bait. I think that's a little outgunned there. But crappie's good forage for bass, so we're there around. That is an ugly presentation. Hopefully they don't mind too much. Let's just dunk it right back in that same spot. Hit bottom. And we can just ring around the rosy this whole weed patch and start picking them off. This is exactly what I'm looking for. No, I was just about to shut the camera off. Please don't be a pike. Nope. Kind of weird. Just healthy fish. Chonker. I was just about to shut the camera off. You know, you can spend a long time on a patch of weeds because the best way to do it is work the outside edges and then work the inside. So I can just spin a slow circle around this weed patch and then spin another circle around that weed patch and really focus on picking apart that inside, because there can be a lot of fish on the inside too. It's just a fun way to really milk a particular spot. Like right now, I'll just throw one right in the thick of it. Seeing a lot of bait in the area. It's a very good sign. These fish can just be in a little tiny area, so it's kind of overwhelming how many flips you can actually make. I mean, you can flip 6 inches from where you just flipped and get bit, so you really got to take your time and pick it apart, like I said. But, you know, this time of year, you don't really need to go around and cover a bunch of water to find fish. If you can find weeds, you're pretty well guaranteed that there's going to be some fish in them. So that is what we do. You know, as far as setup goes, if you're not familiar with this kind of fishing, it does require some heavy equipment. You're, you know, oftentimes throwing weights heavier than this, so you need a rod that can kind of handle it. Not only that, we're fishing in thick weeds, and a lot of times you're fishing in thicker weeds than what we're fishing in today. So a good, you know, 7.5 to 8 foot rod is kind of the deal. This happens to be a 7'6", 13 Fishing Muse Black, and it's a heavy power rod, fast action. I have 40-pound braid on here and an 8.1 to 1 gear ratio reel. So when you get bit, you got to pick up line quick and drive that hook home. So, you know, straight braid, fast, heavy rod, pick up a lot of line quick. And, you know, between the braid and the rod, you're really feeling those weeds, and you're feeling bites really good, because that's like the best part about this whole thing is you're feeling your line on the weeds. You can feel that, you kind of hear it almost like a bow on a string, and then all of a sudden you'll get that crunch, 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 crunch. It's like you can almost audibly hear it. So the sensitivity with having, like, you know, a faster tipped rod, loads up really quick and you can gee-haw them out of the weeds is good. And then, like I said, braid is just enhanced sensitivity for not only feeling weeds, but feeling when you get a bite to drive the hook home.